What's up, you guys? It's your boy Philip Turner here, and today what we're going to be shooting into is the real reason behind your social anxiety. Now, a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear online when you're researching social anxiety likes to talk about the symptoms of the anxiety more than the actual anxiety itself. So a lot of the treatments that are out there is all about symptom management, and I'm getting really tired of hearing only about symptom management, and I actually want to get to the root cause of the problem in the first place, so that way we can work on it, we can actually release it and behave differently in the moment to where we don't actually have to have and experience unnecessary and unwarranted anxiety anymore. Rather than, oh, I have these heart palpitations, or I'm starting to have a panic attack, or I am starting to sweat, I have a difficult time thinking of what to say, my mouth's drying out, I'm clamming up. All these things are all just symptoms of the anxiety. And what happens is you take old data, you take old experiences, you have negative emotions around those experiences, and maybe even drew limiting beliefs, limiting decisions that you made about those experiences, and now you take those and you project them out into the future as a way to try to predict the future. You try to predict what's going to happen. So you take these old experiences, this thing that happened that you have a negative emotion about, and that negative emotion is painful. It's painful to experience anger. It's painful to experience sadness, fear. It's really painful to experience hurt. It's painful to be guilty or feel guilt. It's really painful to feel shame or embarrassment. And if you take any of those negative emotions and you had an event that generated that negative emotion, and you're still holding on to the negative emotion from that event. And so you take that, and when you experience something else that might unconsciously remind you of a situation that's very similar to that event, now you're using that data to project out in the future and say, hey, I predict that I am going to experience this emotion again. So I am going to be avoidant of it. And it scares me that I could experience that emotion again, or I could experience that pain again. I don't want to experience that now. I don't want to experience that again. So the fear starts to settle in, and it starts to come up because you are certain, based on your shitty past data, that that is going to happen again. And your body has to prepare because that is dangerous. Negative emotions on the unconscious level feel dangerous to us, because if we experience an excess of anger, or if we experience an excess of rage or of sadness, well, then our social alliances within the tribe are then, they're like diminished. So we could lose status. I'm just saying like data. We could lose status in the tribe if we experience too much rage or anger or sadness or fear, because I mean, generally as a man, as an adult individual, it's not societally okay for you to be any of those things, at least not for too long. You know, we're supposed to control our emotions. We're supposed to allow them to come up, let them go, and still react and behave in the most like positive, supportive way possible. Those emotions are not supposed to be entirely running our life. So when you react in a way that is way too emotional, that's wired in there to be actually dangerous, because if you are not able to be someone who controls their emotions, well, you're a liability to the tribe now. Okay, you're not someone that people can rely on. You're not someone who is like really trustworthy, because your emotional state is more important than the health of the tribe. It's more important than the actual result. So you could be just kicked out of the tribe or killed because like we don't need you. This is dangerous to have you around if you're just going to be swayed by all of your emotions. So in Western society now, we tend to just push it down rather than releasing them. And that's one of the things that is likely making us sick if you would look at some of that research. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really make that claim, but there's a lot of studies that are starting to come out that's pointing at just pushing your emotions down and not actually releasing them, and carrying that tension inside your body is something that is generating a lot of sickness in humans. So I suggest, or I would recommend that maybe you look that up yourself and look into that a little bit more. But the real root cause of the anxiety is actually the baggage that you're managing. So you have these negative emotions that you're carrying with you, and you may not be feeling those negative emotions all the time. But when you think back to a time that you're sad, think back to a time that you were really fearful, or think back to a time that you got really angry, a lot of times that emotion can come back up, because what's happening is on an unconscious level, you're tapping into what's called your timeline. And the timeline is what stores, it's your internal storage facility of all of your memories. So everything that's ever happened in your past and everything that you intend to do in your future is all stored within that timeline. So you're actually traveling through your timeline back to that event, reassociating to that event, and now you're saying, your unconscious mind thinks that you're in the event again. And so it generates that emotion, and you can start to feel that emotion again. And without a proper release of that emotion, using something like mental and emotional release, or MER, then that emotion stays there. Where does that energy come from? Where does the energy of anger come from? Like, the event has already happened. You're not living that experience anymore. That experience is long gone, but you can still feel the emotion around it. Like, how is that possible? Where does that energy actually come from? It's stored in the unconscious mind. It's stored in your body. So that tension is something that always exists. And that's what we would call baggage. So that baggage, you then take now, you project it out in the future. I'm going to experience this again. And now your body has to prepare for that danger. And those are what the symptoms of anxiety are. The symptoms of anxiety, like your heart racing, like your mouth drying out, like the constant sweating. A lot of times people who live in a very, very anxious state all the time experience gut issues because their metabolism is slowed down and their digestive system is like massively suppressed because your unconscious mind does not have the energy. It only has the energy for survival. So in the long term, it will actually start to shut down like a lot of those systems just to preserve energy, because it's not the time to digest a meal. It's not the time to metabolize food when you are in danger and you're having to run away from an immediate threat. But the immediate threat is usually something that's unnecessary and unwarranted. We don't really live in a society where like all the time we have like immediate threats around us. Like, there could be, but we have police. We generally live in the safest time in all of human history, and yet we tend to be the most anxious out of any of our ancestors. So why is that? It's because we actually have gotten away from learning how to let go of that baggage, let go of those negative emotions, and actually really just be present. Because the more that you're actually just managing baggage, you're never really truly fully present, are you? You're actually just living in the past. You're actually just reliving an experience and making yourself miserable. And a lot of studies have also come out saying that about 50% of your memories didn't even happen, or they didn't happen in a way that you remember them happening. So most people are just living an experience, reliving a really shitty past that never even happened. And then they take that data and they place that out in the future, expecting that to happen now, trying to predict what's going to happen. And now it just makes them anxious. So that's where the anxiety comes from. It comes from you trying to predict the future. Anxiety really is just anticipating something bad happening in your future. And so it's a negative emotion just like anything else. So if this is something that's really interesting to you and you want to learn actually how to let it go and how to tap into your timeline on purpose and let go of negative emotions and let go of placing that negative event in the future, which is what the anxiety actually is. If you want to learn how to tap into your unconscious mind, I have a free training that's about an hour long and includes the release process so you can experience it yourself. Click the link in my bio at badanxiety.com and you can go through that training, experience the release of anxiety, and just be surprised how easy it actually is to let go of anxiety. You don't have to manage symptoms. You don't have to try to try to consciously tell yourself that you're okay, you can actually just tap into your unconscious mind and shift your perspective on what's happening, shift your perspective on the event, and allow all the anxiety to just naturally go away because your unconscious mind can't hold on to it any longer. It has no reason to because you're not anticipating negative events anymore. So if that's something you want to experience, definitely click the link in the bio, get into that training. Like I said, it's about an hour long and it's totally free. And click the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.